Science as a Tool of Liberation, Role of Scientist. For this session, we have our chairperson, Dr. B.K. Tyagi, Consultant, Science Popularization Program, Vigyan Prasar, Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. We also have co-chairperson, Dr. C.M. Notyal, who will be joining online after some time as he's having some other meeting right now. Uh, our chairperson, Dr. B.K. Tyagi, has nearly 3 decades of insightful experience in the field of science communication. This is with special reference to development and delivery of a wide variety of knowledge products that complement formal education interventions. This has been at the national level, including a special focus on communities that do not have access to information, learning, and relative initiatives. He has delivered such knowledge products using multiple audio, visual, and e-media also for community engagement and participation. The most important aspect has been the opportunity to serve India's science and technology communication agenda from a science popularization perspective, promoting learning for the benefit of the citizen in all walks of life. He serves as Scientist F at Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous body of Department of Science and Technology, the Government of India. His work has been published in the national and international forum. His work in science communication has been recognized mainly in many European and Asian countries. I welcome you, sir. Uh, and I request now Dr. Rajiv Singh, professor from college, to please hand over to facilitate Dr. B.K. Tyagi with a memento and a shawl. Thank you, sir. And I welcome you once again, sir. And in this session, we have 6 participants, 2 offline and 4 are online. Now, with this, I hand over the session to our chairman, Dr. B.K. Tyagi.
Uh, Thank you and good morning to all. Uh, I think it's a great honor for me to be part of this event, and uh, I would like to thank Vigyan Prasar, NiScPR, and Vibha for giving me this opportunity to chair this session. And uh, मेरा कुछ observation था because fortunately I was a part of this whole event when we were conceptualizing this about this event. The basic idea was to bring out those aspects of science, technology, uh, those and also those people, not only institutions but also people who has contributed in such a way that it has helped in the national movement, either in organizing the people or developing that scientific temperament, or uh, direct contribution to science and technology, because we have a series of illuminaries who has brought India on the map of science and technology, but there are a lot of other people who has not been yet recognized. And so idea was uh, to give that due credit to those people and bring them on record that they were also contributed in national movement in other way, not directly. So one of them, which when we were making a film, we got a bundle of packets from Punjab, and it was the biography of Ruchi Ram Sani, the father of Dr. Veerbal Sani. So he was the man who started that industry, because when science education was started in India, it was there was no practical classes because there was no equipment to support those experiments. So they started the you can say as a business proposition, making those scientific equipment, not only making of those equipment but also repairing of those equipment. So even today, the Ambala is the industry which has been developed in Ambala about the scientific instrument. It owes its credit to Dr. Viral, sorry, to Ruchiram Sahani, and the other person was Hargulal. So Ruchiram Sahni was doing it in Lahore, and in Ambala it was Hargulal, who was a teacher, and whatever the model the of biology we see in our school lab, those mud models, it was the business which was started by this gentleman, and make that science education, you can say, for a school level with experimentation. So these are some of those contribution which was neglected in the past. So one book has been published by Vigyan Pisar on memoirs of Ruchiram Sani, but about Hargulal, the details are not yet available. So I will not take much of time because all our participants, our speakers are waiting for us. But my submission is that only 5 minutes to each participant, and our theme is science as a tool of liberation, the role of scientists. So try to confine your speech only on that specific aspect, because I have seen many of those abstracts are slightly, not on the focused on much on the role of scientist in as a tool of liberation. So try to be on a dotted line and try to finish your presentation in 5 to 6 minutes. So with this word, thank you very much. And ma'am, we can invite the first speaker. uh, Thank you.
Our first speaker, I'm starting with the offline first because some participants are still in the joining. So I'll call Deepa Moni Dolly. She will speak on the role of Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar and IACS in the growth of scientific nationalism in colonial India. She's a ACSR PhD student from CSIR NiScPR. Please come. A very good morning to everyone. Uh, so it is a matter of great pleasure and honor for me to be a part of this conference. I would like to thank to the organizers for giving me opportunity to participate in this conference. And I would also like to thank to my supervisor, Dr. Parmanand Burman, for his guidance. So the topic I will be present today is my slide. Okay. So the topic is the role of Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar and ICS in the growth of scientific nationalism in colonial India. So here ICS stands for Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. It's not moving. Next slide. इसका सेंसर लगा है क्या? Okay, okay. Please next one. Okay. So the rise of Indian nationalism can be traced through by looking at the life of Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar and the growth and development of his Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. So it plays a significant role in reviving Indian law's identity and inextricably link scientific practice with Indian nationalism. So the Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar was a medical professional and a social reformer, but he was not less than a renowned scientist, as he had done lots of remarkable work towards the progress of science education and scientific study in independence era. So the formation of ISCS was aided by the Indian nationalism, but it has changed the nature of Indian nationalism by incorporating science study and scientific practice in the attainment of Indian national movements. So, the ISCS revolutionized scientific education in India and served as a model for subsequent scientific institutions. Next one. Uh, in 1867, in his famous speech on his eminent paper on the desirability of a national institution for the cultivation of science by the native of India, Dr. Sarkar emphasized on the formation of a national institutions and formation of a national scientific society. So Dr. Sarkar wanted his institution to be serve two purposes, that is the cultivation and investigation of science by Indians and popularization of science among the Indian public. He also intended for his institution to be managed and funded by Indian themselves, and also dedicated to the nation building purpose in the absence of any government sponsored institution. He also proposed that the ISCs would train the first generation of scientists uh, who would train the subsequent generation and create prosperous industry and contribute to science by conducting original research. Next slide, please. Science was a metaphor for nationalism for Dr. Sarkar. He believed that without science as its guiding principle, the political nationalism would be meaningless. So he focused on the revival of ancient traditions and the encouragement of the practice of science and development of scientific spirit, which was a clear measure of national development and prestige. He understood that the lack of proper science education was harming the Indian society, which remained subsequent to the scientifically superior Europeans. So he started campaign to promote a National Science Association via pamphlets, letter to the editors of various newspapers, and encourage Indian to engage in fundamental research in science and also develop hypotheses and arguments and thereby establish themselves as a citizen of modern scientific nations. Against the earlier dark eras, science served as a source of new culture and political self-expression. The resurrection of ancient traditions and the development of scientific practice were among the many responses to British colonization. Science proved to be a powerful tool for asserting Indian nationalism and challenging British dominance. So, as a result of his efforts, his institution was became a first scientific institution that promoted mass scientific education and successfully cultivated a new generation of scientists. One of the example is Nobel laureate C.V. Raman. He also discovered his Raman effect in that institute only. These scientists were instrumental in the nation development in subsequent era. Thank you.
Now, you can try more, like what was in his mind when he formed that society? Because when C.V. Raman approached him at that time, it was in very bad shape because nobody was working.
Okay.
So C.V. Raman himself came the lab. In fact, it was not a lab; it was just a room
Okay.
where he provided that platform. Anybody can come and do the scientific experiment. So, Raman was the first in fact. Okay. So idea was to just go slightly what is already available on Google.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so
Okay,
if
sir.
you read the literature, there are so many interesting anecdotes and uh, it means like how the feeling of that nationalism
Okay.
inspire him that, and he realized that it is the science as a tool can help the India. So what was the in the back of his mind when he formed that opinion? Idea is to bring out those aspects who can be a motivation for today's generation, because we don't know people. I mean, the younger generation is not knowing much about that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Before I begin with the next talk, actually, Dr. C. M. Nautiyal sir has joined actually, and he'll be leaving around 10:15. So I would like to give a brief about him. Uh, he is a well-known scientist and science communicator, a consultant to Indian National Science Academy, New Delhi at present. Earlier in 2016, he superannuated as a scientist in charge of the Birbal Sahani Institute of Paleoscience, Lucknow. After BSc Honours in Physics, he received his Master's degree in Physics from IIT Roorkee, followed by PhD and postdoctoral work at the famous Physical Research Laboratory Ahmedabad of ISRO. He has been a recipient of several scholarships and fellowships. Later, he joined Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleobotany, Lucknow. As a scientific collaborator, he was a part of Indian team that studied lunar samples brought by NASA and Russian Space Organization. Later, he switched over to Earth Sciences. He continues to be a coordinator of a rock art documentation committee for UP and holds position in many committees. He has been a speaker at many universities, mainly in the HRD course at JNU, Allahabad, Lucknow, Gorakhpur, ISC, and so many. Uh, I welcome you, sir. Your achievements and thing are so long, but due to short of time, I would like to now switch to the next speaker. I welcome you, sir. Uh, our next speaker is Dr. Namita, Associate Professor from Deshbandhu College. Her topic of presentation is galvanizing efforts of the Indian scientists in the freedom movement. Please welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to our chairperson, Dr. Tyagi, co-chairperson, Dr. Nautiyal, convener, Dr. Suman, all the participants here who have joined offline as well as online. Um, can you just start my presentation? It's at number 7. As Bhagat Singh once said, that bombs and pistols do not make a revolution. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the whetting stone of ideas. On this occasion of Amrut Mahotsav, and as a science teacher, I stand here to discuss the galvanizing efforts of the Indian scientists in the freedom movement. The British achieved the political power in India after the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Since then, their supremacy was established in the country. After that came the Indian Mutiny in 1857, non-cooperation movement in 1920, then civil disobedience in 1930, then quit India in 1942, and then came 15th August 1947, India's tryst with destiny at the stroke of midnight hour. When the world sleeps, India will wake. When we talk of Indian independence, we talk of satyagrahas, non-violent protested marches. However, this fight for Swaraj wasn't limited to these direct confrontations with the British. It was a movement by various people from every nook and corner of the country, fighting oppression in everyday life, in everyday activities. The message spread around was that India was a land of snake charmers, the land of elephants or beggars or land of superstitions. But the message which was not spread was that we had that ancient wisdom of Vedas, Upanishads, yogas, and meditation. Intellectuals invented and developed scientific disciplines like number system, astrology, astronomy, metallurgy, Ayurvedic medicine, and the list is long. And that day I was reading that there were around 7 lakh gurukuls before even the Britishers invaded India. So a narrative needs to be established that in pre-independence era, India had a rich legacy of scientists who were revolutionaries in their own rights. But before we talk of scientists, let us talk that even the social scientists were also propagating the concept of science through their discourse. We identify Swami Vivekananda as a monk who saw religion through the prism of science. He was a spiritual person, but also a fine modernist who presented Vedanta in modern perspective. He endorsed the project of Indian Institute of Science, and as a tribute, even a statue of Vivekananda proudly stands in the main building of IISc. Another exemplary social scientist, Rabindranath Tagore. We all know him as a visionary poet, but he was also a far sighted activist who worried about health, education, and sustainable rural development. He culminated his writings about science in a book, Biswa Parichaya. He helped J.C. Bose in establishing the Bose Institute. We have all read about his meetings with Einstein, and he was the opinion that Indian rural life and agriculture need technological advancement. In 1922, he established Sural Farm as well as Agriculture Research Center along with the Grain Bank to help poor peasants. He declared that steam and electricity shall be the nerve and muscle. This kind of vision shows that his resolve for cohabitation of nature with science. While the Western science was exploiting our resources, our scientists revolutionized the Indian knowledge system. One such earliest scientist was Mahendra Lal Sarkar, regarded as the father of Indian scientific pursuits. His motto was that science was the metaphor of nationalism, and he stressed that science is the guiding spirit for the political nationalism. He became the leading allopathic practitioner in country, but he converted as a homeopath as he believed that ordinary Indians could not afford the treatment of Western medicines. He was the first Indian allopath who became the homeopathic physician, and taking inspiration from him, many allopaths started homeopathic practices. It is that Antyodaya which we are nowadays talking for the poorest of poor. A professor, a chemist, a historian, a sociologist of science, and industrialist, entrepreneur, and fairly known as the father of Indian chemistry, Acharya P.C. Ray. He completed his BSc and DSc degree from University of Cambridge, where he showed that his patriotic vigor and intellectual courage. And he wrote an essay criticizing the British rule on the topic India before and after the mutiny. It was during the non cooperation movement in 1924. He declared that science can afford to wait, but Swaraj cannot. And this led the administration to record his name as a revolutionary in the garb of a scientist. As he said, that no political renaissance is possible without the full development of intellectual and industrial resources of the country. Being a visionary entrepreneur, we are nowadays talking about academia industry interface. He observed an opportunity of manufacturing chemicals and pharmaceutical drugs which were otherwise imported. So in 1892 he started Bengal Chemical Works, and later transformed it to Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceutical. Change please. Yeah, Pharmaceutical Works Private Limited, which in today's world is manufacturing at the famous HCQ, which was the game changer in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic. He even started manufacturing sulfuric acid, the mother of all industries, and this way, a huge contribution or a corollary towards the Swadeshi movement, which otherwise, what we have read in the political history, started later off, but he was doing it well before that. And then next, Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose, also known as the father of wireless telecommunication, He did a satyagraha of his own kind way before Gandhiji's call. In his early days, when he returned from England with a PhD degree, he couldn't make it to the Imperial Education Services because it was believed at that time that Indians lack logical thinking, however qualified they may be. So he was taken with the provincial service only, and there also he was supposed to be paid less salary as compared to the Britishers. So he refused to accept his salary. He continued teaching for 3 years without taking salary. As a result, the Britishers valued his teaching skills and lofty character and decided to give him full salary. So this was a satyagraha of its own kind way before Gandhiji's call. Rishi, upright and principled. It is not the inventor, but the invention that matters. This was his Rishi's character, upright and principled, as he believed in pursuing science for the benefit of mankind. He was also known as the father of radio science, as he was the first person to invert the Mercury coherer, but which was later used by Marconi to build an operational two-way radio, but forgotten by West due to his aversion to patents. He had a dream of establishing an institute of science, but the education department refused to help. He, undaunted, Bose was able to collect around rupees 11 lakh at that time and established the first modern scientific research institute in Kolkata, which he said that I dedicate to this today this institute, not merely a laboratory, but a temple. India's Iron Man, a geologist who discovered steel for India, Pramanthnath Bose, who believed that India could struggle out of British rule only through industrial regeneration, as he fought throughout his career against the obsessive attitude of the brutish British bosses to establish his identity. He had joined Geological Survey of India, where he was the first Indian to hold a graded position. But later, he voluntarily took retirement as he was denied a promotion, and a British officer, 10 year junior to him, was made the boss. So he preferred to leave the job. So our scientists were doing what politically came later in the freedom struggle. Our scientists were doing way before that, because at that time Dr. H.P. Medlicott, director GSI, wrote in 1884 that a native is not capable of doing any original scientific work which calls for aptitude, efficiency and imagination. Imagine that civil disobedience came in 1930, but he had long before, in 1903, voluntarily took retirement, and then he took the responsibility of surveying the state on the request of the Diwan of Mayurbhanj in Odisha. And then the story we all have read about is that Mining Journal of London also reported and appraised his findings. He established TISCO at Sakchi, also established Bengal Technical Institute for Quality Education, first one to discover petroleum in Assam, established the first soap factory in India, also the first microsection as an aid to petrological work. So here you can see how the list is long. We had a golden period of Indian science in 1910 to 1930. Ashutosh Mukherjee, Satyendranath Bose, C.V. Raman, Meghnad Saha, they all were working very hard to establish the Indian science and Indian scientists in the whole system. The Atmanirbharta, which we are talking on now, they were struggling, our scientists were struggling to establish that science. Britishers were keeping us marginalized, projecting India as an uncivilized country with no scientific vision in front of the whole world. Our scientists contributed to the Indian freedom movement by doing science. They were doing science and ensuring acceptance and due regard and respect of Indian science on international platform. Today, the people working in the field of science need to inculcate within themselves the same value system as their professional ancestors, so that the message of philanthropy through science can be spread across the globe. So, as a science teacher, I think the knowledge about the freedom struggle, the role of scientists in the freedom struggle, I think should be spread across all our science students, starting from the very beginning when they are in the preschool, like rather when they are in the middle school, from class 6 onwards. I think these stories should be incorporated in those books, and they should read about our great scientists who were striving to set up India in the eyes of the world. A big thank you. This is my student Dakshina, who assisted me throughout the project. Thank you so much, sir.
वो कहते हैं ना कि पूरा जर्नी को फिलोसोफाइज करके जो स्पिरिचुअल एलिमेंट को मटेरियलिज्म में कन्वर्ट करके और नेशनल मूवमेंट में जो कंट्रीब्यूशन उन लोगों का रहा, बहुत अच्छे से आपने बताया. So thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Any question from anybody? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is K. Vishnupriya, from postgraduate scholar from Sri Sarda College for Women. The topic is Science as a Tool for Liberation, Role of Scientist. I request Vishnupriya to start the presentation. I request Vishnupriya, please unmute yourself and upload your presentation, please. I request K. Vishnupriya to unmute yourself and upload your presentation. Are you there, Vishnupriya? Okay. In the meantime, she uploads. We'll request the next speaker, Anjan Banik. Are
Yes,
you there?
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Anjan Banik, the topic of the he is an assistant teacher, science, under Directorate of Secondary Education of Government of Tripura. The topic of the presentation is contribution of Tripura in science education research of India to boost an Amrit Sangham for Indian independence. You are welcome, Anjan Banik.
Thank you, ma'am. May I upload, ma'am?
बैनिक साहब, आप शुरू कर सकते हैं. अनम्यूट करिए अपने आप को, बैनिक साहब, and you can start the presentation.
Yes. Please unmute yourself, Anjan
Yes, yes,
Banik, sir.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am uploading.
Please unmute yourself. We are not able to hear.
Hello, hello. I am unmute, ma'am.
We are still not able to hear you. Yeah, we can see the presentation.
Hello,
Presentation
hello,
can be.
hello. May I audible, ma'am?
Hmm. Uh,
Ma'am, may I audible?
call Anjan.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, may I audible, ma'am? Okay, okay. May I try once again? Hmm. Hello, may I audible, ma'am? Hello, may I audible?
की और पृथ्वी विज्ञान मंत्री डॉक्टर
Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible, ma'am? Hello.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Ranganayaki here from Chennai. You are audible.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
But actually, in CSIR NiScPR, sir, I think they are not catching your voice. They are not audible for them.
Okay, 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 okay. So, may I start? Hello, sir. Okay, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, Good morning to everybody. It's a great opportunity to deliver some aspects of Tripura state this moment, at this August gathering of National Conference of Science Community Science Teacher at the when we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Swatantrata Ka Amrit Mahotsav, organized by CSRI, NiScPR, Vigyan Prasar and Vibha. Thanks to giving me this opportunity to share. As we know, this is the technical session, Science as a Tool of Liberation, Role of Scientist. And here I also giving my respectful oblige to Chairperson Dr. V.K. Tyagi sir and our Co-Chairperson Dr. C.M. Nautiyal sir. I am highlighting that on behalf of Tripura state, I am highlighting that हम सबको पता है कि राजा राजवाड़ों के 500 से ज्यादा राजा राजवाड़े तब के टाइम पे थे, लेकिन जब हम स्वतंत्रता की अमृत महोत्सव को कुछ और ही तरह से, जैसे बीके त्यागी सर ने बताया कि स्वतंत्रता सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि पॉलिटिकली जो स्वतंत्रता हमें मिला, उसके पीछे साइंस और साइंस एजुकेशन और साइंटिस्ट लोगों का बहुत सारा एक अनूठा प्रयोग और उनका योगदान भी रहा है। उसी ओर से एक ऐसी राजा राजवाड़े त्रिपुरा जो इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट था, उनकी वो जो कहानी है वो हम आपके सामने रखना चाहते हैं। और उसको उसके पहले हम बोलना चाहते हैं कि हमारे पहले जो वक्ता मैडम थी, उन्होंने बहुत ही आसान बना दिया इस सोच को समझने के लिए। थैंक यू। माय presentation in contribution of Tripura in science education research of India to boost an Amrit Sangram for Indian independence। यहाँ पे हम अमृत संग्राम से बात करना चाहते हैं उस टॉपिक पर कि जिसको आज तक उस तरह के तरीके से समझा ही नहीं गया, जो योगदान हमारे साइंटिस्ट वैज्ञानिक लोगों ने रखा था। त्रिपुरा द प्रिंसली इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट दैट ever first recognized, rewarded Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. My previous lecture was given on him and described him as a social scientist. And for the first time, when he was a young, he was recognized as a poet by this princely state only, and that was documented also for his noted book, that is Bhagno Hridoy. The only independent state that offer financial support along with the logistic support to the experiments of Sir J.C. Bose, even sent bamboo rhizomes for his experiments. The life is also with plants to him. This is the some it's a relationship of bonding of fourth generation of king princely kingdom, princely dynasty with Rabindranath Tagore, and due to him, his initiative, this bonding was also associated with the Jagadish Chandra Bose ji, Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose, as he from for a long time. This is the young age, and we if we found this is the old age memory, a relationship with Tagore, with Bose, and Tagore with this state, princely state. Courtesy from Amrit Amar Chitra Katha, many prominent Indians saw a kindred spirit in him and came to his aid. Tagore was one of them. Jagadish Bose, I am happy that you have come back to India, and I have talked to Maharaja of Tripura, and he was agreed to give you a grant. So this was also documented everywhere, but very silently. This is a place, Purbavanta Palace, where from where Tagore was taken the princely lodging also, and discuss with Maharajas, and this is the laboratory from where those ideas for Amrit Sangram, for assistant to scientific research for J.C. Bose and many other aspects which is going on was taken place, and so many poems and novels was written from here. This is another place, Malanch Nivas, Tagore staying in Tripura. This is the heritage buildings. Umakant Academy School, where Tagore was felicitated at the by the prince of the Tripura state also. And one remarkable temple which inspires Tagore to wrote some poems, as well as one noble Rajorshi and one play Visarjan, and build up a relationship which derived from a bloodshed theory or tragedy towards a bonding in between poet with king, along with which also boost the Amrit Sangram of Jagadish Chandra Bose and many other scientists also. So on the based on these reflections, my abstract is: in pre-independence period of India, the Manika dynasty ruled an independent state. Tripura acts an inspirational source of our beloved scientist and educationist who had performed a vital role in an unparalleled way, uniquely as well as differently to the Amrit Sangram, that struggle which has been fought for Indian independence, for Indian, it's not only for struggle of Indian independence, it's also for the development of India's human resource of during the British regime. I am calling it Amrit Sangram or Amrit Sanghars. Tripura today, one prime northeast developing state, is the tiny appendix shaped and landlocked high hilly state merged to the Indian subcontinent in 1949 under the inspirational guidance of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the known Iron Man of India, and the then Union Home Minister of India, to protect the state from the aggressiveness of the Pakistan that occupy the East Pakistan, known as Bangladesh also. Before the merger, till 1949, Tripura was one vital state, remained independent under Manika dynasty and kept its sovereignty independent and safe as an unparalleled characteristic from the British colonialism. But the dynasty extended its all possible resources, such as intellectual resource, human resource, financial resource, even natural resources also, and dignity of the state sovereignty to boost up the science movement and educational values of India for the development of India's HR human resource, challenging the British regime so that Indian science movements and educational values may move forward to at uh, achieve the at par parameters of the modern science that growing much faster than Western countries. His Highness Maharaja Veer Chandra Manik Bahadur, the brilliant king of Manikka dynasty, consists of 80 kings in the independent Tripura state, get informed that about the situation of the Calcutta, as he was remain connected to the Rabindranath Tagore, unknowingly young talent, unknown young talent then at that time also. Maharaja impressed to the creative literatures of young Tagore, which offered the psychological relaxation of painful situation on his loss of his beloved queen Bhanumati Devi. Maharaja was then so impressed that he recognized young Rabindranath Tagore as poet. The recognition of as poet from Tripura kingdom was the ever first recognition as poet, which has also been acknowledged by by himself, Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate poet and national anthem writer of India, Bangladesh, and besides Sri Lanka also. Connection with the Rabindranath Tagore was extended as a connection with the freedom struggle of India at that time, along with the connection with the deprived scientist and educationist community who are under sufferings to achieve their freedom at their science movement and educational expansion movement during subjugated India also. His Highness Maharaja Radha Kishore Manik Bahadur, the successor king of Maharaja Bir Vikram Manik Bahadur, continued the support towards the objective and facilitate bamboo saplings along with other livestock and natural resources to Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose for his scientific research in proving living characteristic of plant on written suggestions of Rabindranath Tagore. Maharaja also donated big amounts for the foundation of Basu Vigyan Mandir Bose Institute at Calcutta, even sacrificing his wishes of his daughter's princess and cutting down the planned amount of jewelry for his daughter princess marriage, also understanding the need of education and eco-friendly science education exploration, focusing the prime demand of the subjugated nation. Maharaja financially supported the initiative of establishing the Vishwa Bharati University with ashram school system at Bolpur Shantiniketan as an exemplary effort of educational process evolved by the Nobel laureate Gurudev Tagore. Beyond financial assistance, Maharaja engaged students from his state Tripura to take forward the holistic movement and to implement the political agenda of freedom struggle in a twisted manner also. Many unknown supports has also been buried in the pages of history that tells the contributive saga of state Tripura to the freedom struggle of India and the Amrit Sangram at various stage of achievement of Indian independence also. For fourth generation of Manika dynasty, from His Excellency Maharaja Bir Chandra Manik Bahadur to Maharaja Bir Vikram Manik Bahadur, heartfeltly extended, conferred, and offered various kinds of support, such as intellectual resources, human resources, financial resources, even natural resources also, to the mission of Amrit Sangharsh, the mission of achieving freedom in the field of HR development, science promotion, and educational exploration by our subjugated Indians to boost the political freedom struggle of India also. Four efforts of state Tripura to Amrit Sangharsh rewrites an history of Amrit Sampark about between Tripura and India that inspires Tripura to merge with India and tagging itself with its resources to the great civilization of India. So this is a thing. 500 से भी ज्यादा राजा राजवाड़े थे जो भारत के साथ जुड़े गए, लेकिन ऐसे राजो राजवाड़े जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में होते हुए भी अपना योगदान रखा, ये अनूठी चीज है जो त्रिपुरा से किया गया था, लेकिन उसका जिक्र बहुत ही कम मिलता है. And for this purpose, recently the Agartala airport has also been renamed as a Maharaja Bir Bikram airport, and those all the temples and belongings are also associated with this initiative of Maharaja, the initiative for freedom struggle. This is the Tripura Sundari temple. This has been situated and established on the Tropic of Cancer. This deity idol is also placed on the Tropic of Cancer. So very seriously taken the scientific temperament here in Tripura by the princely dynasty also. So thank you for giving me opportunity here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you are not audible, sir. Madam, you are not audible. Ma'am, you are not audible, ma'am, still. Ma'am, we cannot hear anything. Not audible. ஒரு நிமிஷம் ஆயேன். Is it visible to all of you? Hope it's visible to all of you.
No, madam, sharing has been not done. It is not visible.
Ah, okay, sir.
मैडम शेयरिंग पे जाए, वहाँ पे go to share and there is a share screen
Okay, sir.
and minimize this browser and
Okay.
present your paper.
Okay. Sir, is it seen now?
No, no, no.
No. Please wait, sir. Share screen, entire screen. Now is it seen, sir? Now is it seen?
No, 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 madam. Madam, go to share and there is a option of sharing screen. You click on this, not PPT and etc.
Okay. Share screen. Sir, is it seen?
No, 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 no.
Please wait, sir.
Share the screen. There is a 3 option, ma'am, and at the bottom line there is a sharing screen, and you just share that one.
Yeah. Is it seen now, sir?
No,
Please wait, sir.
ma'am, your screen is visible.
Yes. Yeah, it's seen. Good morning to one and all present here. My namaste to the chairperson, co-chairperson, and all the dignitaries who have joined the conference, online and offline. My topic is Science as a Tool for Liberation, Role of Indian Scientists. Our country's struggle to gain independence from the British was multidimensional. It was not just political and revolutionary, it was also struggle to establish scientific and intellectual movements to become a self-reliant country. Our country has been always bestowed with great visionaries, nationalists who sowed the seed for generations to come. In this presentation, let us see the contribution of a very few scientists who were pioneers in shaping our country's future from the fighting against colonial oppression and outlook. Many scientists took bold initiatives like starting scientific societies, educational institutions, popular science magazine in regional languages, scientific journals, skill-based training institutes, teaching learning materials to suit our country's diverse needs, and they have empowered our young generation to think in a different perspective, actually to acquire world view and also to aspire for discoveries and inventions on par with the west, and importantly how to counter British subjugation and discrimination. These are our great visionaries. Only I have included a few. Many more were there. And starting from Rajaram Mohan Roy till C.V. Raman. Our resources and British exploitation. As the society we have always had rich tradition, legacy, diversity, and willingness to evolve. Our contribution in different millennium towards pottery, arts, crafts, architecture, textiles, irrigation system, animal husbandry, and many more fields are immense. British colonial power extensively used science and scientific knowledge to exploit the natural resources of our country. Our country became an important source of revenue and vital source of raw materials sector. Actually, Geological Survey of India was started in 1837. Railways introduction and the British started laying railway lines. Okay, so the idea of consolidating all the resources, minerals, and natural wealth of our country, because exploitation of the British was not limited to resources based on demography and local industries. Then came our one of the first leaders to argue that there was an innate connection between modern science and genuine self-reliance that was happened in the 19th century by none other than our Rajaram Mohan Roy. He established Kolkata Vidyalaya, the first school open to Indians to offer instructions in both European and Indian subjects in English language. Great reformer, yes. With the great cultural and intellectual awakening in the 19th century, Bengal, it was conceived and planned to initiate a scientific institution solely native and purely national. So that was done by Mahendralal Sarkar in in founding the Indian Association of Cultivation of Science in 1876, where young Indians would have got the facilities to and opportunity to engage themselves in the scientific research and same footing as their European counterparts. Many distinguished scientists of modern India, C.V. Raman, Professor K.S. Krishnan, S. Bhagavantam, Srivatsava, N.K. Sethi, Meghnad Saha, and other eminent Indian scientists carried out research there. A prolific educator, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, one of the greatest educationists ever born in India. Outstanding mathematician with the first Indian journal, he published in a scientific paper, first Indian to publish scientific paper in a journal. As a vice chancellor of Calcutta University for 10 years, he collected a galaxy of professors, starting from C.V. Raman to S.K. Banerjee and others. He founded the Science College of Calcutta University. Great paleontologist Pramathanath Bose was pioneering Indian geologist and paleontologist who went on to study Royal School of Mines in London. He was the first Indian graduate in science from British University. After joining Geological Survey of India, he became the senior most officer and was said to become its first Indian director. The British government refused to allow an Indian to head the survey. Bose resigned from the survey and joined Mayurbhanj state as state geologist. Here he discovered rich iron ore deposit of Singhbam district and was instrumental in setting up Jamshedpur by writing to J.N. Tata. Yes, he was the first to discover petroleum in Assam, and it's credited with setting up of first soap factory in India. So in this way, science, the great scientists took science as the tool to liberate our country. While in England, he realized the Indian regeneration was the only way that India could take to advance economically. As a man of science, he had constantly taken up the cause of technical education in the country. His efforts also catalyzed the foundation of Bengal Technical Institute, which is better known as Jadavpur University today. The first interdisciplinary researcher, Indian interdisciplinary researcher, is Acharya J.C. Bose, a patriot, cultural nationalist, proud of the ancient heritage of our country. He realized that colonialism was sapping the self respect of Indians. So, Bose wrote numerous popular articles in Bengali to spread the excitement of science amongst the common people. He proved to the West that Indians too could do world class scientific research. So on Swami Vivekananda's motivation, later Bose applied for patents fighting the restrictions put by colonial rules. His receivers, based on galena, that is lead ore, crystals, were issued patents in 1904 finally. Bose was interested in understanding the similarities between plants and animals. He designed, constructed many instruments required for experimentation like crescograph, which measured the growth rate of plants. Father of chemical science of India, how can we forget him? P.C. Ray, he was, along with the Bose, were the flag bearers of Indian science at the threshold of the new century. Ray's research encompassed a wide field. Initially, he was started with food adulteration. For several years, he studied mercurius nitrate salt and its derivatives. He published over hundreds of research papers. This resulted in the establishment of Bengal Chemical and Pharmaceutical Works, which is still working out today. And Ray was an ardent scholar and was determined to bring scientific achievements of the ancient Indians, possibly to evoke the pride of his countrymen in their heritage. He published History of Hindu Chemistry in 2 volumes. He wrote his autobiography in 2 volumes, Life and Experience of Bengali Chemist. A pioneer meteorologist, Ruchiram Sahni sir, who assured scientific renaissance in Punjab, joined as assistant professor of science at Government College, Lahore in 1887, later became in charge of Department of Chemistry. In England, Sahni was fortunate to work with world-renowned nuclear physicist Lord Rutherford and collaborate with Niels Bohr. He wrote research papers on scattering of alpha particles along with Professor Rutherford and was his good friend. Ruchiram Sani set up a workshop in 1888 in his own house to manufacture high quality made in India science apparatus. Sani gave series of popular science lectures which became great hit with common people. Despite the fact our scientists have struggled and fought oppressive laws, racism, lack of funding, and subjugation, they have preferred to use their knowledge and discoveries for the benefit of humankind than commercializing it. Yes, it is the time we help our younger generation as science teachers to learn the rich contribution of our Indian scientists to modern science too, and for building our nation's science and technology. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my paper in today's conference. Thank you so much.
a tool for liberation, role of scientist. I request to please stick to 5 minutes presentation, please.
वो अनम्यूट कर
Hello, Madam Vishnu Priya, can you hear us? Okay. Mr. Anjan Chatterjee, can you hear us?
Yes. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're quite audible, sir.
Okay. Can I start?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Good morning to the respected chairperson. Good morning to the organizer, and thanks to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to present the paper Women Scientists and Their Contribution in India, a review paper. Next one, please. So this is the abstract of my paper, and basically I'm trying to focus on the basis of the Indian Science Congress and the movement of the Indian Science Congress, how the women scientists and their role on the women in case of the Indian Science Congress. The Indian Science Congress, it is firstly started from 15th to 17th January in 1914. The first on the basis of the present of the Justice Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, who was the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University of the Calcutta. Though it is in the British colonial time, but still hundreds of the 105 scientists they present from the different parts of the India and abroad, and lots of the paper presentation is there, and they are subdivided or categorized the paper into the botany, chemistry, ethnography, geology, and different kind of a presentation in this Indian Science Congress, the first time it has happened it. So approach is that the paper it has been made in this context to assess the status of the recognition of the woman in science through the tracing the database of the general president of the Indian Science Congress. The first woman president of the Indian Science Congress Association, the Professor Mistress Ashima Chatterjee, distinguished scientist, was the first woman president of the Indian Science Congress Association, who conducted the 62nd session of the Delhi in 1975. She started her research under the guidance of the Professor Prafulla Kumar Bose, one of the pioneer natural product chemistries in India. She obtained the DSc degree in 1944 on the excellence of the naturally occurrence the in inodal alkaloid and then coumarins, and basically she was working on the medicinal plant, and she received the DSc degree from the university, and she was the first lady who received the DSc degree. In 1944, she was appointed as the honorary lecturer for the University of Calcutta. In 1954, she was appointed as the reader of the same Department of the Pure Chemistry, University of Calcutta, and 1962 she became the Khaira Professor of the Chemistry from the same department, which is the most prestigious award for the Professor Chatterjee. And for the past 30 years, since the in 1972, she has been the honorary president and the coordinator for the Center for the Advanced Studies in the Chemistry of Natural Products, Calcutta University. Professor Chatterjee was elected as the fellow of the National Institute of the Science and India, now known as the National Science Academy, in the year 1960. She received the prestigious Shanti Sharu Vatnagar Award in the chemistry and from CSIR. She is the first scientist to elected as the general president of the Indian Science Congress Association in 1975. And in the 1975, she conferred the title Padma Bhushan from the government of the India. Professor Chatterjee has been the principal of the scores of the many award and many prestigious award from the national and the international organization. As a scientist academia, she is nominated twice by the President of the India as a member of the Parliament, Rajya Sabha, 1982 and 1984. The second is that the Professor Archana Sharma, who is the professor of the genetics in University of the Calcutta. She is the second president who is basically handled the 74th session Bangalore in the year 1987. Uh, Archana Sharma was he's basically born in the Pune, and then in the academic family background. After obtaining the BSc in the first division from the Bikaner universities, she joined Department of the Botany, University of Calcutta, and obtained her masters in the year 1951, first division. Then 1955 she completed the PhD under the Professor A.K. Sharma, and DSc in the 1960. She was the second lady has been awarded DSc from the University of the Calcutta. Her work is basically the toxical materials and cytogenetics. It is basically based on the botany. Professor Archana Sharma received the Shanti Sarup Bhatnagar Award from the CSIR 1976 in the field of the biological science. At the Indian Science Congress Association meeting 1989, Professor Sharma selected for delivering the Platinum Jubilee Award lecture, and later his association for the 15th GP Chatterjee Memorial Award in 1994. Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee Medal in the 1999, and the National Academy of the Science, Allahabad, selected for S.G. Sinha Memorial Lecturer Award in the year 1995. Dr. Manju Sharma, she is the third lady who has been elected as the General President of the Indian Science Congress Association in the 86th uh, session of the Indian Science Congress. She delivered on the opportunities and challenges for as we move into the next millennium. She has been played a pivotal role in taking up the cause of the women science in the application of the different technology field and their benefit and whatever the problem disability and on this field. Next is Professor Geeta Bali. She is the former Vice Chancellor of the Karnataka State University, and Bijapur, who was the General President of the Indian Science Congress at the 99th session in Bhubaneswar 2012. She was the instrumental in the starting of the Women Science Congress program as an important feature of the Science Congress, and encourage the women participation in the Science Congress and showcase how they can incorporate their technological involvement and their participation through the Science Congress movement, and definitely the women's empowerment. So, in a summary, the Indian Science Congress, the first, as I mentioned, Ashima Chatterjee, Professor Ashima Chatterjee, who was the first in 62nd session, 1975, and it can be find it is after the 60, almost 60 years after, because the Science Congress was started from the 1914, and then the three president 1987, 1999, and 2012. It is quite less range, but though the rate is very less. So the women's occupying the highest office of the increased, but only very marginally but not as the significantly. So in a conclusion, it may be mentioned that the women have been recognized in the India for their contribution in the scientific arena, and the level of the recognition in increasing the 21st century. It is expected that the women will bring more honor to the nation and the country as there is increased attempt to facilitate their science endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayan. I think we were supposed to discuss about the women scientists uh, before the independence. These all are the after the independence, which you have mentioned in your presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
The next is K. Vishnupriya, Science as a Tool for Liberation, Role of Scientist.
Hello. Ma'am, you are not audible. Hello. Ma'am, please put on your camera. Hello. It's not like that. यार, ऐसा नहीं होता.
क्या नहीं हो रहा है? This is not to use the process. तो छोड़ दो फिर हाँ प्रेजेंटेशन है आपके पास इनका प्रेजेंटेशन वो देख लेते हैं डाटा तब क्या पता है देख देख बाकी सब हो गया हाँ तो ठीक है आई थिंक इट वाज अ वेरी गुड सेशन in the sense कि all the presenter very in a very in-depth way they have did their research to highlight the role of certain those personalities who has contributed in one way or the other towards the freedom movement. And unfortunately, the variety was not there. We all already knew about most of them, what those who have been covered in the presentation. Better वो होता कि थोड़े unknown लोग जो थे, because the entire effort is to क्या बोलते हैं कि जो unsung heroes हैं उनको सामने लाने का था, और उसमें मुझे लगता है कि वो हमारा effort उतना ज़्यादा उस तरफ नहीं गया. But anyway, this was a good session in terms of the presentation. And so thank you very much for being with us. All the participants who are present here and online, you are wonderful. in your presentation. Thank you very much.
With this, now we end the session. I thank all the participants and all those online and offline who has joined the session. And special thanks to the chairperson, Dr. B.K. Tyagi, and co-chairperson, Dr. C.M. Nautiyal, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable time. In spite of so busy schedule, we are very grateful to carry the session, sir. Thank you, sir.